3, and go. Good morning, Mr. Carter. How are you?
Good morning. Good, good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, thank you. First of all, let me say thank you for what you did with Elijah and the other students here last week with the rap battle. From what I saw last night, they did a great job.
Yeah, they did. They did a good job. I'm really proud of them.
Good. Can't wait to see more of that in the school in the upcoming year. Definitely want to get into that. I also want to give you some feedback from a walkthrough that you had on last week.
Okay.
Lots of student engagement. On task, taking notes, you affirming using the MVP process. So I definitely wanted you to be cognizant of the good things that's going on in your class. How do you feel about what you've been establishing so far in terms of the MVP process with your students?
So far I feel good about it. I am still trying to get used to it.
Right.
I know it's brand new to me. It was brand new to everybody, I guess. So I'm just trying to still learn the students' names. It's hard for me to kind of affirm certain things, and I don't know all the students' names, so I'm still, hopefully this week is it, that I can call them by their first and last.
I'm at the very same point, learning the names. I want to affirm them all at some point, but definitely the names. So I think that'll look better for us within the next week or so as we really learn all the names. Great. So I want to take about anywhere from 2 to 6 minutes to probe you and kind of check for understanding for what I saw in your lesson. From what I gathered from your lesson last week, your lesson plans and the list of standards and other board material that you had, you were trying to get students to understand how to identify both rational and irrational numbers.
Right.
At one point you asked them, how many of you know what a break-even point is? I remember you having that question and some of them giving you a few responses, but I could tell that you were really probing and looking for that right answer for the students, and some of them were digging for it, but not really on the mark. So how do you think you could have framed this question just a little different to get the best possible responses from your scholars?
I think I could have gave them an example of a break-even point.
Okay.
And I think I could have started it off with that, started the conversation off with that versus asking them, have they ever heard of it? I think that when I asked them that, it kind of, some of them was like, I don't know what this is, so they didn't even try. And you know, if you never heard of something, it doesn't appeal to you as a child. So I know that I could have given them a model first, because all of them, it applies to everybody.
Okay.
They just didn't know. So I think I could have definitely did better with that.
I think you hit that right on the mark in terms of being a reflective practitioner, sometimes giving them a model or some examples. So today I want to speak a little bit about that. Teachers regularly pose questions to their students, but the purpose and the form of these questions can vary widely. And so you kind of put a wide question out there. Right. How many of you know what a break-even point is? And many of them may not have known, and those who didn't know, they probably felt uncomfortable about saying that they didn't. So I would like to see you in the future take some time to frame your essential questions that you are asking and really look at what makes a question essential versus non-essential. And beginning to engage the students in a bit of inquiry while doing this. So I've printed some examples for you, and I'll give those to you at the end of the session. It's about 10 or different sheets about how you probe for questions, stem your questions to frame them rather, so that you're asking students essential questions. So I do want to share that with you before leaving today, so I'll get that to you. I also have created an example for you today that you could use. You don't have to, but the example that I have for you today, I tried to frame it from your lesson material, from your walkthrough. So I wanted to show you some examples, and you can ask me any questions after I model those for you. So let me just move this to the side. So I put it on a big piece of bright paper because I wanted it to be really bright. So I framed 3 questions based around break even. And I may have missed the mark on the last one because I'm not a math person, but you let me know. So the first question that I framed for you in a more essential way is, you could ask the students, when you hear the term break even, what comes to mind? So, for example, let me model this to you. You're going to be the student. Okay. When you hear the term break even, what comes to your mind, Albert?
Breaking even, making back what I spent.
Okay.
But that's me as a math teacher.
That's you as a math teacher. So students, what do you think are based on?
So some students probably would say, is an even number, because this is some of the responses that I have, is an even number.
Okay, they probably would. Okay.
It's when you break an even number, or when
you can probably hear all types of responses. And I did, I heard various responses. Another way that you could possibly frame that question is, if you are looking for a break-even point in math, what are some characteristics? Because what happens when you ask them what are some characteristics?
They start diving deeper. They start thinking about more than just the surface level. They start diving deep into the lesson, or necessarily, I guess, the definition.
Yeah, and they also use their background knowledge.
Right,
so
right.
you're probing, but you're actually getting to see or gauging to see what they may already know without asking it so open-ended, such as, what do you know about breaking even?
Right.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The last one, again, this might be off the mark, but you let me know. What is it called when you have an allowance, spend it on on a pair of $100 shoes, and then sell the shoes for $100?
Okay. And that's good.
Okay?
Right.
You call that what? What do you think they'll call that?
Back to nothing, or zero, and which is the break-even point.
The break-even point.
Right.
So what you did, you gave them an example first,
Mm-hmm.
and then you gave them an opportunity to think about it,
Mm-hmm.
and then come back to that definition.
Okay.
So what you're doing, you can frame your questions essentially so that you have a healthy balance of probing,
Mm-hmm.
getting some background knowledge, and then a segue into telling them what you want them to understand, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. No, it does.
Okay.
It does. And then number 3, that example probably will work best because I wanted to give an example first.
Right.
Then do this.
Later on in your lesson, you did have some relevant examples, but I think the front loading of it, in terms of modeling or giving them something, would have really made them feel empowered about getting into that lesson later on.
Gotcha.
So that's just an observation moving forward. So to plan ahead, Mr. Carter, as you move into the next week, where do you see a good place to possibly reframe and script? And when I say script, exactly what I'm doing with you now, and here is the example. Some of your questions for an upcoming lesson.
I can do that. Oh, you mean when can I do it?
Yeah, like I know that you don't have to do it today. Definitely don't want you to do it today because you're already teaching. You already have everything laid out. But as you're thinking forward, within the next week or so, within the next week actually.
I can do it tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
We start tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. So what I would like to see you do tomorrow is go ahead and look into your lesson plans and take out what you're going to be teaching and frame some essential questions, okay? I would like to be able to come back, so I want to set a timeline for follow-up.
Okay.
I would like to actually come back because tomorrow I'm going to be out for professional development, and Friday we have our business meetings. Do you think it's possible that I could come back, so I want to give you enough time as well, on August 13th, which is a Thursday, to see you in action with some of the reframing questions?
Yeah, I think August 13th would be great.
Okay. What would be a good block for me to come?
My second or third block class, either one would be fine.
Okay. Very good. So I'm going to note that here. Mr. Carter, do you have any questions for me regarding the walkthrough or any of the feedback that I've given you at this time?
I don't.
Okay.
I think you touched on everything.
Okay. Are there any ways that I can support you or find some additional resources or support, not only for the break-even point, because I'm sure you're a little past that now, but moving forward into your lessons?
I think we have everything with the Chromebooks and technology. Oh, I do need calculators.
You need calculators,
okay.
okay.
And once I get that, I'll be good.
Gotcha. All right. Definitely going to note that because you need your calculator.
So I definitely appreciate the support thus far.
No problem. All right, Mr. Carter. So on August 13th, which is a Thursday, I'm going to come back, and that's going to give you a good amount of time to look into your lesson plans and what you're doing and reframe some of your essential questions and script them in a manner where you're asking students some probing questions so that you can maximize their responses.
Gotcha.
Sounds like a plan?
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you. Let's make that a reality.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you.